hard question because I always say like I'd love to raise a family in Florida, but there's just no place like LA. As I mentioned earlier, you can surf, you can snowboard in the same day. Um, I mean that's hard. I mean I'd love to spend time in both places, honestly. And my girlfriend, she's actually European, so I'd hope to be able to go to Europe when all this stuff passes over, all this COVID stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's some, I guess I'll evaluate down the line. But for now, I'll just be young and try to spend as much time equally in both places. So it's just something about Miami is just, I guess it's like it's an enchanting city. Like it's hard to just leave behind.
It is, and so because
Agreed.
I just moved back to Miami, and
Right,
and
right.
everybody, but whenever like on my radio or something like that, people will ask me, what's the one place that if you could live and do sports, where would it be? I always say Southern California, and
Yeah.
they don't get it because Miami is, Miami's Miami, but I don't know, man. There's something
Yeah.
different about Southern California.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think with LA, I always tell people Miami is the biggest small city I'll ever know. So it's like there's a lot going on, but it's very contained. Whereas LA, it's almost like it's four cities in one, you
Yeah.
know, which is it's a bit of a bigger market, I guess, if we're talking sport, just media in general.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but
dude,
Miami, now, a lot of
getting
people are moving
around
to Miami.
California is hell.
Uh-huh.
It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If there was probably half the people and half the traffic, then you couldn't get me to live anywhere else besides Southern California. But
Right. Well, here's the thing now. Here's the thing is, I mean, one, the traffic has calmed down because of the quarantine. A lot of people are
uh
working from home. And two, I've seen a lot of people are actually like migrating from LA to Miami. I've seen like a lot of Los Angeles people who are now,
yeah,
since work is all remote, a lot of them are now renting apartments and condos in Miami. And I've even seen my property value go up in the past few months, and
yeah.
maybe that could equate to that.
We're
So
we're getting a lot of Californians here in Utah as well, man. The housing market is going crazy
yeah, I bet.
because you get people selling a house in California for like $800,000 and then buying that same size house in Utah for half the price, and
Right.
they're able to pay cash.
And they
So
get
like
better snow and ski resorts. Yeah.
yeah, and so the housing market here is exploding, and
Right.
it's a lot of Californians. So,
Yeah.
but diversity is cool, and
Good.
getting new perspectives and stuff like that's awesome. So
Good. Always
Bro,
good.
so you've never been to Utah, right?
I've been to Utah. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been
Oh
there.
wait, no, you haven't been to Sundance.
I haven't been to Sundance. No, I wanted to go to Sundance, but then I mean, coronavirus thing happened, and I was like, that was like back in January, and I remember like when it first happened, like when I first heard about it, I said, this is gonna make its way to the United States. There's no doubt about it. And I was wearing masks. There's a picture of me in a mask like at the start of January 2020. I was wearing the mask, so I was like, I want to go, but I was like, let me just relax and see what happens in the next month and a half. So.
Yeah, dude, it put a crazy damper on things. Well, especially like I mean, California, USC only played like what 4 or 5 games.
I think they were like 5-0 heading into like their Pac-12 championship, and then they lost to Oregon. So
Why do you see a lot of? I mean, because I feel like USC is kind of like the Miami of the West, and
yeah,
vice versa with Miami. Do you think that there's a common thread as to why those programs haven't been so successful?
I mean, if you look at I mean, that's an interesting point you make, because if you look at the past trajectory, it's kind of like they've almost been that like they've almost had similar like their 2 decades of history of the past, yeah, their past 20 years have almost aligned very eerily, like with the sanctions and the Reggie Bush thing, and then we had our Shapiro thing, and obviously all the expectations and the big city aspect and all that. So I mean, they seem to align somewhat. I mean, that's an interesting point you make. I don't have the answer right now, but it's something to think on for sure.
Maybe it's a documentary you could do.
Maybe one day, I'll bridge both of my alma maters now. Yeah.
Good deal. Okay, so my last question for you. I know that like you're my go-to when it comes to movies and everything like that.
Right.
Whenever I see a good movie, I honestly think, dude, Brad would love this one.
Right.
Give me 3 good movies, maybe from this past year that I need to try out.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of movies that have come out this past year. That's a hard one. Let me think about that. If you're into action, I mean, Extraction is one. I mean, you might have seen it already, which was on Netflix.
I'm really bad at watching new movies.
It was Chris Hemsworth was in it. It was pretty badass.
I love Chris Hemsworth.
In all honesty. What else have I watched recently? It's just there hasn't been a lot. Let me think about that one. I've honestly been watching a lot of old, like I've been rehashing a lot of like the classics and the old stuff.
Like what?
I watched all the Akira Kurosawa, like the old Japanese samurai film. I'll watch one of those a night, honestly.
Nice.
So if you're into that, maybe Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Ran is another one. I mean, like all of his movies have influenced like Spielberg and George Lucas, and I mean they're all classics. And like the dialogue in some of these old samurai movies, like even though it's in subtitles, there isn't one bad line in the whole film. Like every line is like a quotable Instagram caption. So yeah, they're good.
Looking for new Instagram captions. So.
All for that. Especially when another 5-star quarterback commits.
Yeah, hey, come on. Hey, yeah, that got a lot of traction. I need to lay low, bro.
Love that.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Brad, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate having you. And, I guess you were able to avoid Valentine's Day for the most part, it sounds like, being across the country from your significant other.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't worry. I still had to take the L and buy a gift that should be getting there like soon. I hope it gets there, or else I'm in trouble.
Okay, thank you so much, Brad. You're a guy.
Yeah.
Great talking as always.
Yes, thanks, man.
Brother.
Take care.
Be safe.
Talk soon. Bye.
Cool. Love having Brad, dude. That's incredible. Very nice of him to hang out with us on a Sunday.
Yeah. He's just so cool.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. The thing is, like, I could talk to him for hours.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Just about like life.
He's just a dude.
Stuff.
Well, I mean, he's just a dude. He's a crazy, talented, and successful dude. Because I mean, how many people play in the NFL and play in Hollywood as well? But at the end of the day, he's just a cool dude. So,
dude, I bet it does, like, I know he would never say it gets annoying, but I bet those questions about him coming back for one more year, like, that would piss me off, because it does piss me off, because I swear, I like that, especially in the off season, that question gets like brought up like every week.
Yeah, and Malik was one of his dudes, right? So, I mean, it would. I mean, because he's never going to say something that makes a fan happy, and he, keeps it real with one of his friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, if he says what the fan wants to hear, then it probably would be something that looks bad towards Malik Rozier,
Absolutely.
So,
I wonder how his boy Braxton is doing. You know what? I'm still so mad we haven't like interviewed him yet.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not bitter. Whatever.
Oh man.
I was gonna ask Brad what he thinks about because Braxton's funny on Instagram. He's been doing more thirst traps lately. It sounds like. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I don't, dude. I'm actually not a big Instagram user.
I'm not as big as I used to be. I'm on, dude. You know what? My favorite thing from this past interview is what Brad had to say about social media.
Yes, I agree.
Like,
dude,
that not spot on.
Oh, it is. It's 100% spot on. And, I think me and you, I've noticed a sharp decline in both of our social media use over the last few weeks. It was, getting the podcast off the ground was very, very fun. But I felt like once this season ended, like the social media, it just sapped all of my energy for people, you know?
Well, and now like I think I try to back up my social media use just because like we were trying to get the podcast up and going. I was
Yep.
trying to get like my name out there, things like that. But now
Yep.
that like all that is like up and running,
Yeah, now that you're famous.
I'm not gonna tweet about recruiting all day every
Yeah.
day.
So I have a question for you. How often do you get stopped in South Florida because people recognize you?
I not very often. It's happened a few times.
Yeah.
Like I've been at gyms or like yeah, it's happened. It's kind of funny. It's happened at gyms more often than most places, which is
Yeah.
always kind of weird. And then at Canes games, obviously,
Yeah.
that people recognize me. But other than that, like it's South Florida is so big, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was just curious, you know.
Well, and also I don't go out very often.
Yeah. I
Like
just think it'd be. Was it a trip the first time it happened when
well, the
somebody was
first
like, "Hey,
time
you're Marsh"?
I'd say the first time it happened was in Orlando for the Gators game.
Uh-huh.
And people would come up and say, "Hey, you're Marsh," and they're like, "Let me buy you a drink and everything." I'm like, "Whoa, like, like guys, I'm not a big deal."
Yeah.
But my dad was with me, so that was kind of cool. And then
That would
just
be cool,
the
man.
games after that, people see me. I think one of the players' moms recognized me at the UNC
Nice.
game, and she it was actually kind of funny because I think sometimes I can be a little passive aggressive towards the Hurricanes, and she asked me, goes, she told me, she was like, I can't really tell if whether you're with us or against us. I'm like, come on.
That's funny, man.
But no, it's fun. Canes fans are really, really awesome.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Actually, yeah, I got recognized at the Heat game a few weeks ago, so that was kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
but
fun,
I'm
man.
not like usually. It's funny because either I'm super down to like talk with people and everything like that, or I just like I'm in my element and like I just want to chill, you know.
Yeah. Speaking
Um,
of Heat games, I'm gonna make you talk about what happened last night, Marsh.
um, I knew. Okay, I didn't watch the game first
Yeah.
off, just because it was a late tip off first.
Yeah. For you guys, yes, it was the
Yeah.
standard 7 p.m. here.
And second, like I knew I had a bunch of friends from Utah say, "Hey, like what like should we bet on the Jazz or something like that? Is Jazz -6 a lock?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd say it's a lock." And turns out I was right, so I made them
Dude,
money kind of.
the
But
Jazz.
Heat are just I think we've gotten some momentum going, but we're with injuries and COVID, it's kind of just screwed up our season to begin with, and
Yeah.
now we are on a road trip from hell right now.
Yeah, and I will say this though to Heat fans, because I noticed on my timeline there was a lot of people that were like really upset about the game last night. But like that's what the Jazz are doing to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like the Jazz have covered the spread in like 72% of their games so far this year,
Wow.
which is it's insane what
That's
they're
a
doing.
gambler's paradise.
Yeah, I mean the Jazz covering the spread is the safest bet on the planet right now. And I mean we blew out the Bucks by 15 and it wasn't even that close. We blew out I mean we've blown out the Clippers, we've blown out the Suns, we've blown out pretty much everyone we played, right? I saw something that like it's like now 17 of our 22 wins have been by 10 plus points. So I mean, to Heat fans out there, don't feel too bad because that's just what the Jazz are doing right now.
Were people actually getting like angry?
I mean, they were just like, I think they
Frustrated?
were. Well, yeah, it was the typical thing. I think people thought that it was a really bad performance from the Heat, if that makes sense. And I'm like, hey, that's just what's happening when you play the Jazz right now. It's don't think that you guys sucked. That's just how much better we're playing than everyone. So we do it to every team.
I know. I'm honestly really happy for you because they're playing so well.
Dude, this year has been so weird having the Buffalo Bills reach the AFC Championship game. The Jazz are the best team in the NBA at this very moment. That could change, but right now they are. And, the Miami Hurricanes, I mean, almost made an Orange Bowl run, right? So if all three would have happened in the same year, like, I'd just have to go buy new pants or something.